What's up, LTD addicts? Let's talk about Publitio. Publictio is a unique platform that lets you host media files, edit them, and even run pre-roll ads for people who view your content. AppSumo is currently offering Publictio as a lifetime deal, starting at just $49. In this video, I'll show you how each feature works so you can decide if Publictio is the media hosting platform that's right for your business. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dave from that LTD.life, where I review software tools with lifetime offers. If you're new around here, make sure you click that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all of the latest LTD deals. Now, let's head over to AppSumo and check out the Publitio sales page. All right, let's look at the magical media manager as AppSumo describes Publitio. We'll see about that. Let's go ahead and check out what we're going to get for our money. Here are the plans and features. Now, a single code is going to get you 100 gigabytes of storage, and that does scale. So each time you add an additional code, you're going to get another 100 gigabytes of storage. I got to say, they are quite generous in the storage as well as the bandwidth. You see here, you get 500 gigabytes of bandwidth per month that resets every month. And that scales with each code that you buy as well. So you can stack all the way up to 10 codes, which is going to give you a full terabyte of storage, as well as 5 terabytes of bandwidth per month. That is a ton. If you're not sure what those numbers mean, it's a lot. It's more than you're probably going to use. So down below here, there are other features we really want to pay attention to. 10 players. These are going to be video players that you can skin to match your brand slightly. There's some restrictions on how we can make this look, but just know that there are 10 different ones per code, and that scales up as well. And you're also going to get 10 different advertising tags that you can add. Now, these are vast advertising tags. So that means that you're going to need to use a vast advertising partner. Something like Google AdSense is a possibility. However, they require millions of views per month in order to partner with their service. So there are other ways to use vast, but just know that this feature might be a little bit more alluring than it is practical. So if you think you're going to make your money back on this deal, or become a video advertising entrepreneur, that might be difficult to accomplish, but we'll look at this in a little bit here. I am going to show you, by the way, speaking of videos, I'm going to show you how to use Publictio with VooPlayer, as that is another popular lifetime deal that's coming up a little bit later in the video. And the last option down here is probably something everyone can take advantage of in one way or another, and that is adding watermarks to copyright your images. Well, not really copyright your images, but at least be able to track the source of the image so that other people can't reuse it without your permission. All right, so all of these scale as you add additional codes. You can see the maximum over here. You're going to get 100 of each one of those features we just discussed. All right, let's get into Publictio. I've got my account set up over here. I'm going to head over to the dashboard where you can see I've actually got negative size. I ended up deleting a file, and now it's showing that I have negative bytes on their dashboard. That's pretty cool. And then we also have 500 gigabytes of bandwidth that I have not touched at all. So let's go ahead and dig into this platform and really get an understanding of what we're looking at. So the media files are over here. This is where you're going to upload your files. Really easy to do. You just click on the upload button. You can choose any file from your desktop and go ahead and upload that. You can also organize them into folders. I know that's very important to stay organized. So the folder option is there, and we'll get into this more in a little bit here. Then here is where you set up your video players. There is just a few features in terms of how you configure the video player. So I was mentioning that when I was describing the deal page, we really only have like these 6 different colors that we can choose from, which is a little bit of a bummer to me. And then there's other basic features, like whether you want videos to autoplay, whether you want to display the control bar so people can pause the video, whether the thumbnails show up when you're kind of scrolling around on Seek, it says. And then the default quality, whether it's set to 1080p or as they have as default 480p. So that's interesting. I really wish there was an auto option that could kind of detect based on bandwidth what is the proper size to load, but that doesn't seem to be an option here. Whether the audio is muted is another option, and then the default ad tag, which we briefly covered in the deal option here. Now, I've got no ad tags created, so we're not going to be able to use one of those right now. The next section is where you'd set up those ad tags. So this is you just basically paste in the URL that you'd get from something like Google IMA, and you'd paste it right in here. Now, I can't demonstrate this for you because I don't have enough views to become a Google IMA partner. You literally need to have millions of views on your videos that are not hosted on Google, and they have to be able to verify that. You have to apply to become a Google IMA partner. It's basically through AdSense Video. If you want to learn more about that, I'll try to put a link in the description just to kind of give you some resources. Now, there are other vast partners out there. So if you know about this and you're into Vast, maybe you have another way that you like to use this could definitely be helpful to you. For me, it's kind of like an attractive feature. You tell someone, hey, you can run ads against your videos on your website. It sounds exciting, but in the end, it's probably, if you don't have the 1,000 subscribers you need on YouTube, you're probably not going to make a ton of money off of playing videos on your ads to begin with. All right, so let's head over to watermarks right here. And this is where we can upload a watermark. Actually, this is where I want to begin the demonstration. So let's go ahead and add a watermark. So now, very important to note, as you're uploading the watermark, it has to be the correct dimension. Because Publitio is not going to resize or scale this file at all. It's just going to stamp it on any file that you upload that you mark to have the watermark. Let's choose a file here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a logo. All right, I've got a file picked out here. This is a client amp logo that is 130 pixels wide. As I mentioned, it's not going to resize. It'll be that size on any files that I upload. Now I'm going to give this an ID. I'm just going to call it CA for client amp. I can position this. So let's say I wanted to put it in the bottom left-hand corner, and I can give it a little bit of padding. This is going to be how far it is from that bottom left-hand corner. So if I did something like 10 pixels, that'll kind of move it out from the bottom and the left by 10 pixels. All right, let's go ahead and hit create here. And there we go. This is a preview of what the watermark is going to look like. Now, anytime I upload an image, which we're going to do right now, I'm going to go back over to media and hit upload files. I'm just going to grab any old image that I can find on my desktop here. All right, I've chosen a file. Now what I'm going to do is click on more options, and I could actually go ahead and watermark this right here by choosing this. Now I'm not going to do that right now because I want to demonstrate how you can modify the name of the file to actually add this watermark later. So for now, I'm going to leave this off and I'm just going to upload the file. But if you know you want the watermark on, you can do it in the upload process. All right, I've got my file uploaded. It's just this cheesy photo of me. You've probably seen it in my thumbnails. I took this in front of a blue screen. Now, here's the cool thing that we can do. I can grab this URL right here. I'm just going to copy it, and I will paste it in up here. Now, in between where it says file and the name of the file, I can go ahead and type in WM for watermark, and then I'll do underscore CA because that's the ID that I gave it, and then I'll add another slash. So I'm kind of like creating another directory here. If you're used to file management or file directories, it would look like it's inside of a folder. But if I press return, now what's going to happen is that I've got a version of the file with a watermark. And you can barely see it because it has a blue screen, but it's got a watermark in the lower left-hand corner. Now from here, I could also say change this to a PNG file by just changing the end of the file instead of JPG to PNG. And now I'm going to have a version of the file that has a PNG. So it just takes a second to load, but there it loaded up. And maybe I even want to change the width of this file to be a smaller dimension. Once again, I could, right after it says file, I could enter and say width underscore, let's do 300. And I'll go ahead and add another slash there. And whoops, it looks like I might have typed that one in wrong. Oh, you know what I did is I put it way after this. So what I should do actually is after the watermark, I'm going to add a comma. And then I will try adding in the width underscore, make sure I hit comma here. Then I'll hit width underscore 300. And now it should resize properly. There we go. I've got the watermark actually showing up a little bit better because it's moved over on top of my shirt. And I've got a 300 wide file with the PNG. Now, if this is seeming complicated to you, just think about it a little bit. It's really not too much to take on. I think it would probably be easier if they had the option to also change these things with a nice graphic user interface. But it's kind of like a magic trick that you can do it right in the URL, and then it's creating new versions back in Publictio without you really having to do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into the Publitio app, and let's see how we can actually access the different versions that have been created. I'm going to go back to the dashboard here, and under media files, I'll go ahead and find that one file that we've uploaded here. By the way, if I don't like this name, I could go ahead and rename it right here, and I'll just call this Dave Point, and I'll hit update, and now I can rename it. That's one thing that was kind of irritating to me about something like WordPress is once you upload a file, you're kind of stuck with that name. It's a bit of a task to actually rename it once it's inside WordPress. All right, here we go. Here is the Dave Point file. I can see the preview right here. And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I can see all these different versions that I created. Here is the version that is 300 wide with the watermark, and it's also a PNG. You can see the original that had, actually you don't see the original will be up here, but you can see the first time that I changed it into a PNG file right here with the watermark. Of course, I could make a new version without the watermark. I would just take that part out of the URL, and the watermark would go away. So really, really flexible. Again, I think it would be nice to have a way to do this outside of the browser window. Now I know there's this option over here, but they don't really give you any direction, right? What I'm talking about is I want to have a user interface for this where I can have a drop-down menu, and I could say, hey, here's the dimensions I want this file to be. Give me a checkbox and let me choose which watermark is applied. That would be really nice. But they don't, the Publictio is a really technical application. It's much more technical than a lot of the tools that we find on AppSumo. They're kind of aiming towards more developers than they are necessarily marketers or small business owners. So this is a pretty complex tool, and the way I'm demonstrating it is about as simple as it's really going to get. So that is how the media files work. That's how you can transform them inside of Publictio just by changing the URL. I should mention that you can also upload video files. You can upload audio files, you can upload SVG files, and they just recently added PDF files. So that was a big thing. So if you're using this to, say, serve up a lead magnet, you could upload your PDF file to Publictio and link that over so that you don't have to rely on like your WordPress media library to serve up your PDFs. All right, now the next thing I want to do here is take a look at video and players inside of Publictio. I know that's a huge feature that a lot of people are looking to use Publictio for. So we already looked at the player settings. Let's go ahead and actually create a player here. I'm just going to give this a ID of client amp. Now you do have to give it an ID just like we did for watermark, so you can use it later. Let's give it a blue skin, and I will turn the autoplay on. Why not? And let's give it a default quality of 1080p. Now I'll go ahead and create this player. All right, it's all set up. It plays this little preview. I can see the blue bars here. Everything's working properly. Now I've already in the background gone ahead and uploaded a video. In fact, I put it in a folder just to kind of see how this would work. And so here is the Amelia video that I uploaded about a week ago. And now I want to get this playing on a WordPress website. Now I've got a couple options here. I could go over here to the triple dots, choose this, and go under embed/player codes. And then I'd want to select the player that I want to play back with. So here's the client amp player, and I could either use the source, an iframe, or just embed the player right here, copy the appropriate code and paste it into my WordPress site or really anywhere that's going to accept a file source like that. But we also have another option. So I'm over here on my demo WordPress site that I use pretty frequently in these videos, and I've already got the Publitio WordPress plugin installed. Now you can find this for free in the repository. So just go to add new under plugins, and you're going to end up typing in Publitio and hit return, and it'll show up right here. This is what it looks like. Now, this is not a very highly used plugin, right? They only have 300 active installations, but you'll need to download that and install it, and then you'll have it over here. Once you've got it installed, just add in your API key and secret, which you'll find on your Publitio dashboard. Let's get out of this page for a second. I'll show you this. It's just right here. You can copy and paste that into your account, and then you'll set your default player right here. You should have a drop-down list with all of the players that you've already set up. From here, you're actually going to need to create some content, right? So let's go up to add new, and we'll do new post. And we're going to get a standard Gutenberg builder right now. And I'm going to type in Publictio demo. And we'll just go ahead and add a new block over here. And you're going to notice right away there is a Publitio block. I can choose this. It'll let me select a file from Publitio. I'll go under Video Test, under Cart Flows. This time, I'm going to go up to the triple dots, but I've got the option to insert a player or insert a source set. So I'll choose Insert Player, and there we go. It has now inserted the file. It does say file version creation in process. This is about a 200 megabyte video, so I suspect it just hasn't had a chance to fully upload yet, or kind of, if you upload something to YouTube, it takes a little while for it to fully render. So that is as easy as it is to use a file on Publitio. Images are about the same, right? So if I wanted to add that image, I could go back to Publitio, choose the file, and here's that image that I wanted to use before. I can grab that one and just insert the source set, and there we go. My image has been added. All right, now let's talk about VooPlayer. Why would we talk about VooPlayer? Well, VooPlayer is another video hosting platform that is really popular in the LTD circle because it's been on AppSumo numerous times. It's actually currently on Stack Social. I got a review coming up for VooPlayer later in the week here. But what VooPlayer offers is the ability to use third-party sources as a host for your videos. So here's what I'm talking about. If I go over to create new video inside of VooPlayer, I have the option to either upload a file or I can just give it a URL. And what I'm going to do is give it the URL that I find inside of Publitio. So let's go back over to our media. Here is my video file. We'll just click on that file itself and go down to where it says preview URL. I'm just going to copy this URL, copy that link address, and we're going to go back into VooPlayer here, and I'll paste in that link address and hit validate. Now it's going to check out the video, make sure that it's able to be played by VooPlayer. Sure enough, it does validate, and I can give this a title, and I'll call it Amelia Cart Flows. And I'll go ahead and hit save and continue. And then the video is ready to be used on VooPlayer with all of the VooPlayer functionality, which is quite a bit more elaborate than we get inside of Publitio. However, it's being hosted on Publitio, so you're not going to use any of your VooPlayer bandwidth. Now, there are some small limitations here. You're not going to get the HLS encryption that VooPlayer provides. You're also not going to be able to do things like allow the video to be downloaded from the player because it's not actually hosted through the player. But besides that, you're going to get a lot of the VooPlayer benefits without any of the costs associated with using VooPlayer. So it looks like it's getting a little bit of an error here, but I bet if I go ahead and reload this page, it's probably going to work just fine for me. I'm going to go ahead and hit reload here. There we go. Now it's working just fine. So from here, I can take advantage of VooPlayer, embed it wherever I like. I can use their sharing features to send this file to anybody that I want. And I also get their full analytics so I can see who's watching it and when. All right, now there's some additional settings I want to take a look at here before we close out this review. Let's go over here to where it says settings and take a look at our options. Now you can see it's got the avatar is pulling in from Gravatar. We can change our password, all of that. But the important things here to pay attention to are the custom CNAME, where you can actually go ahead and change the location of the files. So right now, if I go ahead and go back to my managed files here under media, if I click on any one of these, you can see that the URL starts with media.publitio. And if I want that to be something more custom, more related to my brand or my URL, I can do that over in the settings. Now, there's actually two ways to do this. Now, one of them is very, very technical, and the other is it's kind of technical. It's pretty straightforward. If you've ever changed a CNAME before, you won't have much problem with it. I'm going to show you the easy way right here. You'll just turn this on. You'll give yourself a CNAME ID. This is a little bit different. It's just anything you want. It just has to be unique to your Publitio account. No other Publitio user can have chosen the same ID name as you. You'll get an error if you have chosen a duplicate one. So I've got the name CA Media. Then you're going to choose your URL that you want to use to host all of your files. For me, I've chosen the subdomain media on my primary domain client amp. And then you need to choose a CNAME protocol. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So if you're just doing a standard update using like your DNS provider, something like, let's say GoDaddy, or even your hosting's cPanel, if you're using something like SiteGround or InMotion hosting, you can go ahead and choose the HTTP option. However, if you want to use a secure connection, you're going to need to set up something through either Cloudflare or something maybe through like CloudFront, which is Amazon's CDN platform. So those are going to be a little bit more advanced. They do have a tutorial up here if you want to check that out. And I would be willing to create a tutorial on how to do this if there's enough interest. I just don't know that enough people are that concerned with this. Cloudflare is probably the one that most people have experience with, but they've got directions here for using CloudFront, so you can follow along with that if you like. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and finish up by changing my CNAME right here, and then we're going to talk about domain level protection in a second. So I'll just go ahead and turn this on. Now I do need to head over to my DNS provider and add this CNAME. So I'll do that real quick. All right, so here I am inside of DNS Made Easy. I've got a CNAME record I'm adding right here. It's media. I'm pointing it to media.publitio, and I need to add a period at the end here. Make sure you add that period if it's necessary on your platform. Then go ahead and hit submit, and you'll be all set. If I go back over to Publictio, you're going to see those media files are now going to have a different URL. If I click on this, here is the, well, let's go ahead and refresh that. Maybe I didn't toggle this on. That would be an important thing to do. Custom domain, here we go, and hit save changes. Now let's check out those media files and make sure they work properly. There we go, media.clientamp.com. Everything is pulling in correctly. Now it does say not secure. So if that bothers you, that's where you're gonna look at their tutorial on setting up Cloudflare or CloudFront to enable that SSL certificate. All right, heading back to the settings, there's just one more thing I want to talk about. There is this domain level protection. This is pretty cool, actually. What this does for you is it only lets your files show up when they're on your domain. This will prevent people from grabbing some of your bandwidth without your permission, or from taking your assets and displaying it on their own website, claiming your assets as their property. Pretty cool. Now, it's not going to prevent them from downloading the file and re-uploading it to another server, but it does help you a little bit by protecting your files. So we'll turn on that domain level protection, and I'll enter in the domain name clientamp.com. And now by hitting save changes here, the domain is protected. So if I try to look at any of these other files, like even this one right here, if I hit reload, it's not going to display anymore. It's going to say that this is protected and the file can only be viewed on specific domains. Really nice that this is completely white labeled. There's no hint of Publictio there that it's, it's hosted on Publictio or anything like that. It's just private. It's protected. So if that is important to you, or if in the past you've had issues with maybe you're a photographer and people grab your photos and they post them on their own website and they actually just don't even bother to download them and re-upload them. They just steal right from your hosting. That does happen all the time on the internet. It's illegal, but people do it. And there's, without setting up something like this, it's pretty hard to track down and prevent. So that is a really nice feature that I like from Publictio. That is called domain level protection. This LTD for Publictio is a beast. And by that, I mean it's an absolute monster for what you get on paper, but it's also an absolute beast of an application to manage if you're not a developer. Now, I worry about the sustainability of a lifetime deal that's based on bandwidth. The transfer of data always has a cost associated with it. So I'm curious how a company can financially afford to give you a lifetime of service. Now, I believe that LTDs should either be a one and done proof of concept that helps developers get users on their platform, or they need to have a sustainable business model afterwards, like an upsell. Now, Publitio has neither of these, and it is their second time on AppSumo, and they don't have a reasonable upsell. They can't generate monthly recurring revenue like, for example, VooPlayer can. Now, if you're a developer and you're dealing with SDKs and APIs on a daily basis, then Publitio could be the bargain of a century for you. Now, that's not me, and while the platform is impressive, it's also cumbersome to a primitive digital marketer such as myself. So for that reason, Publitio gets a nod, a wink, and a score of a 7.9. If this review has been helpful to you and you do plan to go on to make a purchase, make sure you click the link in the description. That is the referral link for this channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does kick us back a few dollars so we can continue to invest the time in making more LTD reviews like this one. If you like this video, make sure you hit like so I know you appreciate the content. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. I try to reply to each and every one. And don't forget to join the LTD discussion over at our Facebook group. And last but not least, if you're looking for help growing your business online, check out ClientAmp, the digital marketing agency that I manage. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.